Happy Nurses Week.
Happy Nurses Week. Yay.
Yeah. Did you work last night?
Nope. I've been off all week.
That's nice.
I work tomorrow though, so.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they give you treats. My unit gave us booster juice yesterday.
Really?
Village ice cream, breakfast burritos, and Cobb scones. And I have diabetes.
Oh my gosh.
It was actually so nice. All of the things. So
wow.
I know.
See, I'm going impressed. In with zero expectations.
That's
Last year, I think we got raisin cookies.
Yikes.
Yep.
Ooh, happy Nurses Week. Love that.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Christian
any
says...
free food, free things, I'm in.
Me too. I ate so much yesterday. It wasn't a busy shift, which was nice. And then I was orientating someone and we discharged someone. So we only had one patient. And I just was eating because I was bored. I was like, this is weird. We don't have any babies on the unit. So it was actually really nice. We discharged 3, I think, or 2. So yeah.
That's awesome.
I was like, thank you Nurses Week for these babies listening and
thank you, babies.
Coming into work. Yeah, thank you, babies. Love you. Love you, babies. Christian says, every week is Nurses Week in this house. And I said, I agree.
It's a good man right there.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. But I got some people to send me some funny nursing stories. And I had some of my own.
Oh,
and some of them were very inappropriate. I was like, oh, that is something else. So no. Oh, I better do that on.
Not losing our license over this.
Nope, but I said anonymous. I will keep it anonymous. Yeah, so little backstory, without giving away your hospital or anything. Mm-hmm. Tell me about how many years have you been a nurse, all that, what your name is, if you like to disclose, or if you would like to stay anonymous.
So mysterious.
So mysterious. It's totally up to you.
Well, my name is Natalie, and you're going to have to figure out if that's my name or not.
Fake.
Could be
Fake.
Anything. But I've been a nurse for 5 years now. And I work labor and delivery at a hospital.
Nice. Have you always worked labor and delivery?
No, not really. I worked postpartum for 7 months before I started working labor and delivery.
Nice.
And labor and delivery is my jam, so.
Yeah. Bringing babies into the world. Nice place. Nice. Yeah. And myself, I started off working in adults. I think we both graduated nursing school about 5 years ago. Different nursing schools, though.
Yep.
I went out of town. You stayed in town. And, Christian's also out of town. Hence why we needed a co-host for Nurses Week. Uh-huh. So welcome.
Thank you.
Much thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm going to add this on my resume as soon as I'm home.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So I worked with adults for 3 years, and that was a treat. The staff was great, which was good, and nice to be. I went from an undergrad nurse to grad nurse to registered nurse, all the same unit. So they kind of raised me, and then it was mostly a med surge, not really surge, but medical dementia, seizure stuff.
A little bit of everything.
A
potpourri.
A potpourri.
A melting pot?
A melting pot, if you will. So yeah, worked there for 3 years and then was like, I don't like getting sworn at anymore. So ended up working in the NICU and been there since 2020. I really snuck in there right before
COVID. Just in time, thank God.
Just in time. So that was a really great place to work. All things considered, lots of people had other not so nice experiences during COVID, and mine was actually fairly nice as a nurse. So I enjoyed it. But yeah, currently in the NICU, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But lots of people sent me some funny stories from their past nursing school experiences or anything. I've worked with a lot of great people, and they sent me some good ones. One from my old unit was we had... there was a lot of dementia, and there was this lady who was the scariest woman we ever had experienced, and like you just be like walking on eggshells with her. And she ended up like charging at me one day and scratching me so hard that I had a scar and I started bleeding.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, was it on this arm? The scar is gone now, but this was like a few years ago. And she ended up like going to some long-term care place with a waiting list of like 2+ years.
That's crazy.
Which is like so long. So she ended up being on the unit for, I don't even know how long, but it was like so scary to have her, because one minute she was like just like sitting in her room alone. The next minute she like somehow got out of her room on a night shift and was like attacking us. Oh, no. Going behind the nursing station, we were like, not there, dear, wrong chair. Which was so sad. But then there was also I think this was when I was an undergrad, because there were so many wanderers and dementia patients and stuff, and this was like their home. Some of them had been there for like 2+ years, and we have these things that in the nursing world called Jerry chairs.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're basically a chair that reclines and like the feet go up, and
they have a tray.
You can put the tray on. They can eat their meals in these chairs. So basically, if there was fall risk patients during the day, we didn't want to just like leave them in their room. We wanted them to be out by the nursing station. So we put them in their Jerry chair and put their little tray on. It wasn't a restraint because it was mealtime. And this one gentleman who was quite old and couldn't really communicate, he would just sort of sing, which was funny because like walking by as like patients' family walk by, they're like, oh, what's going on? And so he would just sound like dee 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 dee. He'd be like slapping the tray like to a beat, and he'd be like dee 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 dee, and that's all he would do for 12 hours straight.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember I was working full time in the summer, and I was like, I am tired. Like, I'm tired of hearing this. And the only thing that would like calm him down was we put the Sound of Music soundtrack on. So for 12 hours that summer, I was so sick. If I heard The Hills Are Alive one more goddamn time, I was going to lose it. And it was so bad because if you didn't put like little mittens on his hands, we had to like tape pillows to his hands because he would scratch his arms so bad. He'd have like the Mepilex borders all up and down his arms. And one day he was like singing, he was like dee 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 dee, and like you never knew when it was time to take him to the bathroom or anything, just because he couldn't really communicate. But then so we're sitting at the nursing station charting, and he's just dee 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 dee, I have to take a shit. And we were like, oh, that's the first time he said that, like, let's go to the bathroom. But then he, like, as soon as we got him out of the chair, he's very unsteady. He ended up like, I don't know, I think he was sundowning or something, because then he all of a sudden was like, it was fixated in his head that we were robbing him or something, which was like really sad. But it was also so hard not to laugh because he just like stood up and he was so unsteady and he was throwing punches at all of us. God. With the pillows on his hands.
Oh no.
With the pillows on his hands. So the pillows are hanging by a thread. He's like down the hallway. He somehow made it past the locked exit. So then he's going around to this other part of the unit where they have all this like computer equipment in the room. So me and another nurse, he was like 6'5" as well. He was not a short man. Me and another nurse like follow him into this room, and we're like, this way. And he's like taking swings at us, and he's like, robbery, there's a robbery. And we're like, oh my God. So, and we didn't want him to fall, but you couldn't like grab his hand or anything. So we called security, and they're like, where are you guys? And we're like, we're over on the other side. Like we got out somehow, and he got out somehow, like when we were trying to toilet him. And then security came, and like we could not get him to sit back in his chair. And it was just like, he he just kept screaming robbery. And it was like, oh
no.
my God. There was just so many stories with that man because he was there like all summer. And so I would just like try and sing Sound of Music songs to him. But then I was like, I cannot listen.
Do one more.
Yeah, it was just too much. But so many like dementia patients and so many stories about that. And there was one man who was like blind, so he couldn't, oh my God, he like couldn't have a bed. Like anytime you went in there, he'd be like on the ground anyway. So we had to give him like just the cot on the ground. And I remember I went in there to like help him wash his face or something, and he would escalate like so quickly too. I remember I went in there to help him wash his face, and he just like took the wet face cloth, like me and another nurse, and whipped the wet face cloth at this nurse, and she was wearing glasses. She was like, oh my God. And like you couldn't do anything because you're like,
you can't fight
we
back.
get abused so much, but you can't do anything back.
Yeah.
And
let's
like,
be like, that's inappropriate behavior.
Yeah. But then it's like he thinks he's in. I think he thought he was like on a cruise ship or like in the States or something. I can't remember what it was. Like this was so long ago, but I just like whipped her in the face with a face cloth. Like refused to sit in the chair and eat and stuff. But it was so hard because he was also blind. So then you're like, if you had to like touch him or something, you had to be like, oh, your hotel room is ready or something, and just like lie to his face. Like that's a lot of nursing, is just like lying to your patients.
That's so hard.
It was really hard. But we got very good at becoming like creative with things. Like people were like, oh, I'm waiting for my mom, and the lady's like 85, and you're like, she's on her way, she's stuck in traffic, she's like doing this and this. But yeah, just like, ugh. Yeah. Adults was such a crazy world.
Yeah, but I'm sure like the longer someone's there, you get to know them better and you like figure out what works for them too, which is nice. But...
Totally. And a lot of people, like music was so helpful when we worked there. Like it was honestly like a lifesaver. We even bought speakers for like one of those computer on wheels, and I would just put in on YouTube like old people songs or like
songs from the 30s,
songs from the 50s. And then the recreational therapists were great too. Like we tried to make it like a big thing to be like Care Bears and stuff like that, and just like make a difference, because there were some people on our unit for like 2+ years, and one of them was like a sexually aggressive person, so he had to go to a special facility. He was literally on the unit for 2 years.
That's wild.
Because the waiting lists were so long for this. And like, it was horrible. His hands would always be like, I don't know why, but he always had nosebleeds, and his hands would be like covered in blood all the time. They'd be like under his fingernails. And you would like walk into his room and he'd be masturbating, and you're like, oh my God. And then he'd reach his hands out and be like, sweetie, because he had an accent. And so you would just like see him walking down the hallway and like trying to grab nurses' butts and like, sweetie, come here, sweetie. And we were like, don't touch me. And so he'd be like, okay, we're going to get the male healthcare aide to give you a shower. Shout out to the healthcare aides out there. Not an easy job.
No, not at all.
In nursing school, did you ever have like dementia patients that you had to deal with, or where were your like clinicals?
I really didn't. I had like, we did a mental health and cardiology and a transplant unit, and then I was like mat child, and then my final focus was in the OR. So I like kind of skirted my way around like the whole med surge area.
Which is crazy. Yeah. Like it's just a whole nother world, and people who have like worked there as like a healthcare aide or a nurse, or just the stories. It's like, wow. It's and like, the people who continue to work there for 15+ years, like, oh my gosh.
Mentally and physically exhausting.
So physically exhausting. Like I remember I would have 5 patients like as a new nurse, and I'd be like, I'm scared. Be like, help.
It's like overwhelming.
Yeah. And then you'd have like 2 of them were total care patients, meaning they'd need to be up for meals in a chair, like using a ceiling lift or something. Like we had a lot of like strokes and MS on our unit too, so we'd have to feed them as well. And like, God bless our healthcare aides, but there was not enough of us like to do everything humanly possible to like care for these people, which is so sad because it was like you go home feeling like, wow, I did a crappy job today.
Yeah.
I'm a crappy nurse. Like, I feel like I could have done so much better.
Yeah.
One story that my friend told me, she was working on a geriatric unit that used to be a pediatric unit. And the seniors in the middle of the night would wake up because they heard this crying. And like multiple patients were complaining of this, but you know, if there's a dementia patient, you're like, oh, okay, like I'm sure you're just like hallucinating or something, like go back to bed. And then another time, like the bed alarms were going off, so then they went back in and they were like, why are you out of bed? And the lady was like, I heard the babies crying.
That's so creepy.
Yeah. And she was like, there's no babies here, like it's fine. And then the lady was like, there's babies under my bed.
Oh my God. I'm literally so scared of ghosts. Before COVID, we had a separate unit for our antepartum moms.
Yeah.
And then we got moved because of COVID. It got taken over by another unit. But there was always these rooms at the end of the hallway, and it was always so dark at night because we'd like turn the lights down. I was always so creeped out to go back there. And I, like on your hourly rounds, I literally would like speed walk like room to room. I'm like, don't let the ghost get you. Don't let the ghost get you.
Don't let it. Oh my
and
God.
like, I don't know. I was just always so creeped out by this back corner. And then one of my coworkers was like, yeah, one time a ghost walked right through me when I was in that room. And I was like, what? Yeah. She was like, yeah, it's just like doing my rounds, like went in to check on a patient. And then like someone literally walked right up and like through me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She was like, I slammed the door and I ran to the nursing station.
God. Well, was that unit always like for antepartum? It must have been something because that hospital is quite old.
It's so old. Yeah. But
my God.
Yeah, I'm like always like
creepy. I got chills.
Right? It's spooky.
Also, it's cold in our house. Sorry, but
we'll blame it on the ghosts.
From the ghosts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so scary. That's like my very last shift of working. I think I've told you this story. My very last shift on that adult unit before I went to NICU, it was like in December 2019 or something. And on breaks, there's like a back hallway, and sometimes there's like stretchers on there. This was a night shift, like we do 12-hour night shifts, so some people would go back there to just like have a nap on break. So I was back there with like one of my nursing friends, and we're just like chatting because we haven't seen each other, and I'm like scrolling on my phone, and we're both on a stretcher in the hallway. And in the hallway there's like the physio room. Every like basically little room in our hospital needs a swipe pass to get in, and so like if the swipe isn't activated, it's like red on the outside. Also, we have like motion detector lights in the rooms. So I'm staring at my phone and I'm like, oh, it's like 1 minute till 3 a.m. or something. And then as soon as my phone turned to 3:00, I hear this, oh, like a loud, it was not quiet. Like, and it's just me and her and another nurse that's like already asleep in the back hallway. We look at the physio room because it's right across from us. The motion light is on. And we're like, oh my God. And my friend is like, oh yeah, that's the ghost. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? She was like, yeah, that's the ghost. Like we've been hearing it so many times. Like around this time on night shift, we kind of like multiple people have been hearing it. I'm like, oh, are you serious? Did I just hear a ghost on my very last like day shift? Are you serious? And she was like, yeah, apparently she had like been a patient on our unit and was like this miserable lady who always said like she wanted to die, blah, blah, blah. And I guess she like passed away. And then when she passed away, they kept hearing this like at the same time at night, like every
gosh.
shift or whatever. So I'm like, oh my God. Like, I was so freaked out. I was like, I am not napping on break. I am on my phone. I'm listening to happy music. Like,
The ghost can't
oh,
get me.
because I'd never heard anything like that. And like,
Yeah.
our unit always scared me because you'd like go in to do, your checks on nights. And like, we had those little blinds where you can turn them and look in. And multiple times I would turn, oh God, so scary. Multiple times I would turn the little thing to like look into the room and someone's face would be right freaking there. So then I'm like,
I would scream.
I was like, take a buddy with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially like some of them had like mental health issues as well, who were either like dementia or something else going on. And they'd be like in the locked rooms on nights and their lights would be on. They'd be like awake in there, just like fiddling. So then you turn it, the lights would be on and they would be like right at the window looking
like
back
this?
at you. And you'd be like, ah! It's like in The Office when Angela's standing right behind Dwight and he's like, fuck. Just like so scary. Oh, yeah. Ghosts.
They're real.
They're real. I know.
They're real.
So the baby's under the bed. That was like, oh God.
That
But
is
it
so
used to be a
creepy.
pediatric unit, she
Yeah.
said. So it's like, oh, that's so
It's gotta
scary.
be true.
Yeah. So this was at, one of my friends sent me this. She worked in the NICU. Like, this was like quite a long time ago, she said. And a mom had just like gotten a really like crappy diagnosis for her kiddo. That she did not know about or something. And so it was like a very serious moment. Like the doctors came in, she was with her, that kind of thing. I think the baby had, I don't know, but the mom had no idea about it. So the mom was like visually upset and whatnot. And the mom's purse was like a black purse. It was sitting beside the nursing chair or something. And all the garbage cans at the bedside were black as well. So baby had a big poop blowout, so the nurse went to like change the diaper, and normally when we're in a hurry we don't close the diaper, like we don't stick it to itself after it's like a soiled diaper, we just like toss it in the garbage. So the nurse was like cleaning up the bedside or something, and without like realizing it, she had like thrown the mom's purse in the garbage.
Oh no.
So the mom's purse was in the garbage. This nurse changes the baby's diaper.
Is that in the garbage? Oh.
And there's like poop it's like an open diaper. So
Oh no.
so the nurse like threw the diaper into the garbage on the purse and didn't even like know. And then the mom's like looking around. Oh, like I haven't seen my purse. Where's my purse? And then the nurse like realized, and she was like, oh my God, like this mom just got like horrible news and now I just threw poop all over her diaper, or poop all over her purse.
Oh, no.
So the nurse like went to another nurse or something and was like, this is the situation. This mom just got terrible news and I just threw poop all over her purse and her purse is in the garbage. I don't know what to do. So she ended up like casually throwing something else in the garbage can and then was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. Your purse is in the garbage. Like, I must have thrown it out by accident. Like, it looked the same as the garbage can. Like, I can't believe this. I'm so sorry. And then the mom actually, like, burst out laughing, and it broke the tension of, like, all the stuff that happened. So that was kind of funny. It, like, broke the tension of the diagnosis. They had a good laugh at, but there was literally poop all over this mom's purse. I'm like, oh, that's terrible.
At least with newborns, their poops are like not bad. They're not stinky.
Bad. She said
They're not
this one
too
was
big.
huge though. I was like, oh my gosh. Was there any like crazy labor and delivery things that have happened? Where you're like the people are like really weird or something, or like weird requests that they have when they're delivering?
I've definitely had like some. I was helping out. I was like second set in a delivery, so I came in to help the primary nurse, and I knew the vibes were weird in there all day.
Vibes were not on point.
Yeah. But I went in, and the family had made a little like birth plan, I guess, and put it up on the whiteboard, and it was like the dad was like, please call me Papa Bear. And the mom was
What?
like, you can call me Mama Bear and stuff like that. And I was like, that is so uncomfortable. I'm so happy I was not in here all day, like calling your patient Mama Bear. Like, that's just
Call me daddy. That's essentially what they want.
so awkward.
What?
Yeah. So that was interesting.
Weird.
Definitely interesting. I did not call anyone by any names.
Well, good.
I just said, congrats.
Congrats. I'm out of
And
here.
I left.
Here's your baby.
You good?
Bye.
I'm out of here. Another one that was my patient is actually like probably one of my favorite deliveries I've been a part of, but the patient was using laughing gas for pain, and like most people don't laugh with it. Like most people are like, this is nothing for me. Like it makes me feel like I'm like dizzy or something.
Yeah.
But she was like loving it. She was a big fan of laughing gas, which was awesome. And she was like about to deliver, so it was like me, another nurse, and the doctor. We were like all there, ready to go.
Yeah.
I think we had like a NICU team for recess too, like just in case. And the patient just like started giggling, and we were like, this is like, you're giggling and you're about to have a baby. Like, this is so cool. You're so like relaxed right now.
So chill.
And I
feel very relaxed.
And then we started giggling.
Oh my God.
And then the doctor started giggling. And like the NICU team was like, why are you all laughing? So like, they were laughing at us because we had the giggles.
Oh my god.
And she literally just like laughed her baby out.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was
crazy.
hilarious.
Laughter truly is the best medicine.
Yeah. The laughing gas
so
was
funny.
on point that day.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I've heard that it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, everyone's different. Yeah, some people love it and some people are like, meh. Didn't notice a difference. But
Have you ever snuck some and sniffed some?
you know what? I haven't. I have not, because each patient gets their own tubing.
Oh,
right?
nice.
So I would never steal hospital resources.
That's right.
Period.
You heard it here first, folks.
Not once. Not once.
Not even once.
No. But
That's awesome.
yeah, there's always like little weird things where maybe it's like a misunderstanding with people. Like I've had people come to triage and they're like, it's my due date. And you're like, okay, what brings you in this morning? It's my due date. And you're like, is that, that's all? And they're like, yeah, I'm ready to have my baby. And you're like, oh,
Are
you? So this isn't how it works.
So you don't come in and on your due date.
I'm glad you made it to your due date. That's exciting. But yeah. And then once when I worked postpartum, this couple actually thought I was like going home with them. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they were expecting.
Are you
of
the
us,
baby?
but they thought I was going to be like their baby nurse.
Forever?
I don't know. However long they required my services, and yeah, they actually thought I was like going home with them to like help them take care of the baby at night, and I was like, so no.
So you don't pay me enough for this, so I will not be doing that. Oh my god, that's wild.
Yeah, and they were just like, really? That you guys don't do that here? We're like, no. Where do they do that? Yeah, so
state of the art.
Yeah, it was,
the VIP package.
That was interesting. I was like, I'm sorry you've been banking on having a nurse at home for the last 9 months. This really throws a spin on your plans.
This blows. This blows. 0 to 5 stars at this hospital.
Sorry you didn't know this before you were leaving with your child.
Oh my gosh. Oh, speaking of hospital reviews, did I tell you what my dad was like just recently in the hospital for a kidney stone?
Oh no. What did Doug have to say?
Oh man, Doug had a time. Shout out to Doug. He's probably listening. One of the 2 listeners that we have. Mom and Dad.
Other one.
Mom and Dad. So he was in Emerge, and I went down and saw him on my break or whatever. And when I went down there, I was like, wow, the people watching down here, those Emerge nurses, damn, good for you.
They don't have time to people watch.
Good for you. There was one man sitting in a jerry chair again that was in the intake area for 2 days. Just I look over, he's just having toast.
Oh my gosh.
He was homeless. Just wanting a meal. I was like, fair
shelter.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It was a weekend as well. So then there was like this lady who was so drunk who came in. She was falling over.
Oh no.
Then the guy sitting beside my dad had like a bag of his items. This lady goes, grabs his bag, starts rifling through it. I was like, do you want me to do something? And the guy was like, no, I want to see what happens. I was like, okay, fair enough. So we're just like watching as this lady's like rifling through. She's sitting in the wrong chair.
Oh my god.
Because the chairs have like numbers on them. And I was like, wow, Saturday night, feeling good. Feeling good down in Emerge today.
She going shopping.
So then I was like, ma'am. Like I was in my scrubs because I was on break and I just went and saw him. I was like, ma'am, not your bag. She was like, what? I was like, not your chair either. Like this, let's give this back. You're right up there. She's like, oh, thank you. Thank you. And then later on that night, my dad texts me, the drunk lady fell. I was like, oh no, making more paperwork for the nurses probably. No. I was like, oh dear.
That's not a good Saturday night. That's
Anyways,
not where you want to finish your night in the ER.
Not great, but it was so busy. I was like, oh gosh, everywhere's been so busy. But so my dad texts me at 5:13 in the morning, like I think the day before he had his kidney stone surgery or something. This is from Doug. I read him this like earlier being
He's
like,
consented.
do you remember? Yeah. I was like, do you remember writing this? And he was like, I think so. Those were good pain meds. Wow. Before Shirley left her shift at midnight, she came in to see me and dropped off kidney stones and your diet printout. I saw her during the shift change working on the computer and I kept asking, is she going home? But she was doing this for me. And it's like a crying happy face. You know the one?
Yes.
And then another text. So at 3 a.m., woke up thinking it was 3 p.m. because the light was on and had a bout of shakes, but the warm blankets helped, comma. Shout out to Christopher. Could not get a proper reading. Calm down. Now and all okay. You are in the right field. I was like, well, you treat those nurses right because I know you're a handful.
Yeah.
But I was so, like, I was like, that was seriously like a review.
Yeah.
Like an actual review.
Should fill out a patient feedback card.
Patient feedback,
Shout out
10
to
out of 10.
Christopher.
Shout out to Christopher. Warm blanket really helped. So funny. Okay, so I asked Nurse Pal, send me your fave like crazy story or like slide into the DMs or something. So some nurses I used to work with, this one was, okay, first job, diabetic nail care. Toenail clipping straight to the eyeball and under my eyelid. I could not. Diabetic nail care.
Okay, I
under the eyelid.
had a day where I shouted out a home care nurse, and it was all foot care, and I hate feet.
Oh my god!
Like I always thought maybe I'll be a physiotherapist, and then I realized you have to touch feet. So then I thought I'd rather deal with bodily fluids.
I'm good. Yeah, I'd rather get other fluids. Than touch a foot.
That's so yucky.
Under the eyelid. That's like, oh my gosh.
You could scratch your eye.
That would be like my cornea.
Infected.
Oh my gosh. Another one. A sweet dementia patient slapped the contact right out of my eye. Oh, oh, that would be the worst because then you'd be like, so can I go home? Like,
I can't see.
I literally can't see. Oh gosh, there was another one. That was quite disturbing. So trigger warning. This is what it says. I walked in on my patient getting her eaten by a guy she randomly met outside while she was out for a smoke.
Oh no. The
dude pulled up a black plastic chair next to her bed and she was wide-legged, like off of the side. Isn't that disgusking?
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
what would you even do? Would you be like, can
This
you
isn't
stop?
appropriate.
I have to do vital signs.
Ma'am, can you close your legs, please?
Ma'am, please close your legs. This
you
is
need
a hospital.
protection?
Like a random dude just, oh, I'm staying at the blank hospital. Like, come on. Like,
Oh my god.
come on up.
I don't even know
I
what
have an
would
extra
do.
bed.
That's so
Oh
awkward.
my god, horrible. Like so many things that we witness, right? Oh, gross. Then another one that someone sent. I once had someone in labor pop a squat in between a toilet and a wall. Had a bowel movement. Came out of the bathroom after said bowel movement and straight face told me I shat on the floor. It's like, wait, aren't you a grown human being? And then she said, I literally needed a moment. Her husband picked up her excretions.
Oh, poor guy.
That was from...
There's,
Oh my
labor does some
God.
funny things to people.
Like, what? Do
Yeah.
you suddenly, like, not realize you're a full-grown adult who can use the toilet on your
I
own?
think your body just does.
Oh my God.
It does its own thing, and then you're just trying to catch up and figure out what's happening.
I guess so. Oh God, there's bad.
One
That
time,
was the only other
one of
one.
my coworkers called out on the call bell. We use the call bells a lot on
Yeah.
my unit, and it's like always usually us using the call bells, like rarely
Yeah.
some patients. And all she said was, "I just need some help in here." And I was like, okay, I'll go in and help. Like, I knew her patient was getting an epidural and stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe the partner fainted or something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm running in. I literally run in, and she's covered in vomit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was just in front of the patient. The patient just like all of a sudden got
Your
sick.
coworker was
yeah.
covered?
Like down her scrubs,
Oh
in
my
her sports bra,
God.
everywhere, her hair. So anyways, she's like, I need to clean myself up. And I was like, yes, you do.
Fair enough.
And I was like, just leave. I'll take care of this. So I like went over in front of the mom. My other coworker came in, and she's always been a little like queasy. So anyways, I'm like helping the mom with her epidural, like trying to get it in time for her.
Yeah.
And my other coworker's like cleaning up the vomit on the ground. It was everywhere. And every 2 seconds, you just hear her go,
Oh God.
I'm like, do you need to leave? Because you can leave if this
She's
is not
just
okay.
struggling.
She's
Oh,
like, I'm
no.
sorry. I will find someone else to help.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
God,
my
gross.
coworker went and had a shower and came back
Oh
and
my God.
kept going with her shift.
Oh, see, it's nice having baby pee and baby puke rather than fully grown adult pee, poop and
You
puke
see
now.
what they had for dinner that day, and
God, horrible.
it's fragrant.
It's not good.
No.
Oh, that is so gross. I haven't been puked on fully, but
Me either.
another
Knock
one of
on
my
wood.
friends, tomorrow. No, I work Friday.
I heard tomorrow.
Projectile. What was the other one my friend sent me or told me about? I think it was when she was a student. So like when people were going for scans, they had to chug that Colite drink to like loosen out their bowels, to put it lightly. And then, so there was like, it was when she was a nursing student, it was her and another student. And, they had to like put this man on the commode. So they like get this man on the commode. It's like she said the other student wasn't very bright. Like she just didn't know what was up. And like, I don't know, just, there was always one person in the
always that
nursing
person.
student group that was just like, yeah, you had to really lay things out of how to do it step by step.
And if you don't know who that person was, it was you.
Definitely you. So, yikes. Hope you're doing great though. Hope you're thriving on whatever unit you're working on. And it was like a very like obese man. So they put, that bucket like under the commode or whatever, they had like put a pad or something in there. And they're like wheeling this man. He like did not make it to the toilet, but so like it was like in the pad or whatever. The thing fell, like the commode bucket fell and splattered all over the other student. So she had poo all over her, like entire scrubs, like everywhere. And like my friend was just like, oh my God. And the patient started laughing. And so my friend started laughing. And meanwhile, the other student is just like covered in the smells. Poop. Horrible. I'm like, oh my God. That's horrible.
So she's a student, like you have to wear your school scrubs.
Yes.
Like, what do
So it's not
wear?
like you have a second pair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then she told me another story where she was working with the same student and they had to like bag a body, like someone had passed away. And so they were like bagging the body with their instructor and they were like rolling the patient to just like tuck the bag under. And all of a sudden the patient like let out like such a big like gas bubble because like that happens after you pass away. And the other nurse, like the student nurse was like, oh my God, like, is he alive? Like asked 4 times if the patient was like actually dead. And they were like, yeah, he is. Like, gas moves after you pass away. Like, you can make noises still and stuff. And she was like so freaked out. She was like, are you sure? I just think like
she probably didn't sleep that night.
Yeah, probably traumatized for life. But gross. The same nurse told me a story about like the coolest thing she ever saw was you know how if you donate organs or something, you can donate like skin and eyes as well. Yeah, so like the coolest thing she ever saw was when someone agreed to like, they did the check mark for everything to be donated. So when someone passes away, you have like a very limited amount of time to harvest the eyes compared to like other things. I think you have a few hours. So she said she like stayed after her shift and assisted with the eye extraction. I was like, oh my gosh, that's like so cool, but also like so eerie and gross. And like, oh, I don't like that. But I was like, wow, I accidentally donated my entire body to science on my license. Accidentally? Because when I was renewing my license like 5 or 6 years ago, I just did like the whatever. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, check the box to be organ donor. I was like, yeah, sure. And then I got something in the mail like 3 or 4 months later being like, which university hospital would you like to donate your entire body to science to? And I was like, what?
Did the doctor not tell me something?
I was like, what do you mean? I thought it was like for organ donation. So I never chose a site, so who knows what's going to happen to me when I die. All I know is my license has the little heart on it. But,
yeah.
So I accidentally donated my whole body to science, but
it's for the greater good.
I bet someone will learn. Yeah. They'll be like, this girl had a lot of brain damage. A lot of brain damage. Her liver was also not great. Yeah, but eye extraction, I could not. We had a patient, I remember, who had a glass eye, and we had to like assist putting that in, and I refused every time. Like I never, every time I had her, it was like not on the shift where you needed to take it out and like clean it and put it in. I was like, oh my God. First of all, if you have a glass eye, please do it yourself. Like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
If you don't have one, even better. Like, I will take you as my patient.
Any day. Oh, man. Yeah. Eyes are just yuck. When I had my final focus in the OR, we did a couple days where we assisted with eye surgery and stuff, like scrubbed and stuff for it. Yeah. And it was just not for me. No. It was so gross.
I remember in nursing school, I got to watch a cataract surgery, and it was like so freaky to me because you see the big screen. Like they put the big screen on so that everyone's seeing like what the doc's doing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, they're peeling that thing back. Like, why? Yeah. And then the patient is like fully awake.
Yes, just sedated. It's crazy.
And like, I want to get laser eye surgery, but I'm terrified of like, I don't know.
Just like, I think it would,
yeah, but who knows? A little
just make sure you're sedated.
Snip,
You'll
snap.
Be fine.
Yeah, hopefully. But
no, it was so gross. And you had to count, obviously, like every surgery you do counts, and the sutures were literally like half a centimeter long. They were tiny.
That'd be so hard to visualize.
And then you'd lose one. Someone would drop one every time on the floor. And then you'd be like, gotta get the magnet. Go get the magnet. God. And then you would just like put the magnet over the floor and wait for it to like
a little paper clip.
You'd be like, I found it.
Oh, yeah. Gross. Weird. Yeah. How do they like suit? Oh.
It was not for me.
No, not for me.
Yep, I forgot that part. Move that out of my brain. That's gone.
That's gone forever.
All I know, didn't like it.
Didn't like it at all. Oh.
But I love scrubbing for C-sections and stuff. I think that's like super cool.
I'm like going to be recess training pretty soon. Ooh. So I was like, okay, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. But every time I've like gone into a recess, just because I'm like, how do people not cry at every birth? It is just so beautiful. I was like, that is one thing that I have to get control over. Yeah. I'm sure I'll become like used to it if I'm going to more. But I'm like, do you ever just cry? You ever just think, wow, that was neat, and cry about it? But like, it was really cool. So I just almost started crying. I was like, get it together.
You've got a job to do.
It's not my baby.
Yeah. I don't know. It is super cool. Like when you think about it, to be like part of that, and like that's such a big moment in like a family. But I think at the same time, you're like, okay, this is my job. And then you're also thinking in your head like, okay, what 5 things could go horribly wrong right now that I need to be prepared for? Like, so you are really like in the moment so much.
You're just like more of like focused on, okay, what am I
going
to do when shit hits the fan, which always be prepared for the worst as a nurse, because it will hit the fan. Yeah. Ugh, horrible.
But sometimes you get such nice deliveries and you're like, oh, how refreshing.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I feel like it's nice to like get to know the family right before too. I'm sure some of them are very thankful. Yeah. Just like in NICU too. You get to know the families really well, which is nice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it can be a lot too if you've like had the same baby for a long time, or if like we've had some like social situations too that aren't great.
Really hard, yeah.
So then you're like, great, now we have to like call security and all that. But that happens on every unit, I feel. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of drama. A lot of drama.
So much drama.
So much. But thank you so much for telling me your nursing stories. Do you have any other ones or any advice for a new nurse? Oh. Maybe that's a good little cute thing.
Okay, your first 6 months are not going to be enjoyable or fun.
No,
You're going to be like, am I the stupidest human on the planet? The answer is no. It just feels like you are.
Just get your confidence, I feel like, is a big thing.
Yeah.
For 6 months, totally.
And if you're ever not sure about anything, you ask a question.
Yes.
Don't ever just like, nah, I'm good enough.
Yeah. And don't Google it.
How to start an IV.
Yeah. But there are good tips and tricks.
Yeah.
It sucks feeling new.
Yeah.
But find those core people that you can rant with after a shift, or, like talk about, like, I don't know, like, did I do this correctly? Like, even during a shift, it's nice to like find one person to be like, you're my person. If I'm like struggling, I'm going to ask you a question and please don't judge me for it or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a stupid question, because I'd rather like someone be asking those questions than like hiding in a corner doing something unsafe, Yeah. Well, thank you, nurses.
Yeah, thanks, nurses.
Thank you, nurses. Thanks for listening to all those nurses in your lives. Nurses Week is every week. Get them something every week. Let's be real. And to those not in healthcare, thanks for listening to our gross stories. That's why, Christian could not handle that. He does not like nursing stories, so it actually worked out perfect that I was recording with someone else today on our little podcast. So yeah,
we could be cohabitants too.
We could be, sure.
I'll move in downstairs.
Okay, we got a little separate entrance.
Yeah,
night shift. It's my little dungeon down there.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Well, happy Nurses Week, everyone. Thank you for listening to Strictly Cohabitants, the podcast, hosted by Christian and Kaylee. If you like what you hear, please give us 5 stars on Spotify and follow our Instagram at Strictly Cohabs.